What if you could glance at a one-page sheet and know how your whole class is doing with a skill? This is one of my favorite parts of the circle chart, is that we can see our entire class on one page. But as soon as you start to understand the circles, this visual tool is so powerful. I can see that I have all my kiddos on the left-hand side, and then I have all the skills on the top. And I'm able to, at a very quick glance, see that the word can is a word that the whole class knows very, very well. Can is not a word that I would go back to in explicit teaching. Of course, it's a word that would be in practice centers, and it would be in our reading and our shared reading and our poetry, but it's not a skill that I need to explicitly teach at the carpet again. But if I go further, there's other words that are obvious that we need to work on, and I'm looking vertically down and I can see all the white circles. So those would be words that I would want to refocus on and explicitly teach at the carpet. So what if we could go deeper and highlight the skills that need work for the whole class or individual students who need practice?
We would sit down at the end of the week as we're trying to plan for our next week, and we would take our highlighters out and we would highlight the paper charts. We would write little notes all over them. The problem with that is then you can't go back. With the circle chart, you can highlight directly on it now. You can highlight both columns or rows. So I can be looking at Charlie here. We've highlighted Charlie because she's missing a lot of skills there, something that we need to work on. Maybe that's this data that you're taking to your admin or to your school-based team, saying, hey, we could use some extra support here. This is what we're seeing in the classroom right now. You could print that. The next week, you could take those highlighting marks out and you could start all over. It's nice and fresh. So the chance to be able to go back and forth is quite useful. But with this data, constantly referring back to the data, you need to make sure you're slowing down where you need to slow down, move a little bit faster when you need to move faster. There's always remembering that the circle charts are there. We're constantly referring back to them. Assessments are kind of on the go. So it's not once a reporting term that we're doing this. This is something that we're using as a tool weekly.